After 12 years, when I came back, after being with my two sons, I was willing to accept, and I was okay with it if my career had stalled because of that time. It was very important to me to do that. But lo and behold, I've had probably 5 really great leaders, both men and women, over the last period of time who have believed in me, challenged me, really made me know that I could do a lot more than I thought I could.
In honor of International Women's Day, I'm excited to host a series of interviews with the incredible people of PPI. Through these conversations, we aim to share their inspiring journeys and recognize the significant contributions they make to our organization and the industry. So join us as we celebrate their stories and the impact they have on PPI. I'm here today with Barb Elder, our Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. Barb has a huge portfolio at PPI, and we're really excited to share her journey and what got her here. So Barb, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Kathy.
So we're going to go right back to where it all began. Where were you born and raised, and what did you think you wanted to be when you grew up?
So I was born in Montreal, and we moved to Toronto when I was 11.
Oh.
And what I thought that I would like to be was a journalist or an author. And then I went to university at Western, and you couldn't go to journalism school until you had your undergraduate degree. So on a whim, I applied to the Ivey School of Business, and lo and behold, I got in.
Yeah.
And I learned from that there are many interesting careers in business that involve writing, that are very creative, and that could really give me what I was looking for in terms of a career. So in fact, the first job that I took was with an insurance company, Aetna, and I was the editor of the company newspaper. So it was a little bit of a journalism career.
Yeah. Well, you certainly bring that here at PPI as the leader of the marketing and communications team, but your writing style is just beautiful for PPI. And of course, you were behind the brand of PPI and a lot of the work that you did with the founders. So that creativity flows right through in your current roles and the roles before.
Thank you.
When you were growing up, did you have a first paying job?
My first paying job that I can remember was at Parker's Dry Cleaners. Okay. I love that job. Taught me about customer service.
Yeah.
Dealing with customer complaints.
Yeah.
It taught me how to deal with the production and operations environment. I like to go in the back to see how the machines were all working, the cleaning machines, the chemicals, all that kind of thing. Taught me how to use a cash register, which is a bit of a lost art today.
Yes.
So I like that. And finally, they gave each new employee, a training binder when we arrived. It was about this thick. And I may be the one and only employee who read it from cover to cover. And I really appreciated the value of that detailed instruction and the value of training in people's jobs.
Yeah, it's that natural curiosity. And, when I look at this year, when you took over the portfolio for our information technology and security team, you did the same thing. So that's been a trait that you've had since you were a kid and you've brought well into your leadership career. It's great to see. What gets you up in the morning? What motivates you to come to work every day?
Well, when I think about work, I still find the projects, the problems, the issues, the challenges very, very interesting. And I like to think of it's problem or puzzle solving using a lot of logic, I think, when things get right down to it. So I still enjoy that. I also find that there are many smart, interesting, and quite frankly, nice people at PPI who I enjoy working with. And that also brings me in.
Yeah, it's true. You know what? And you're a big part again, though, of that culture because you've been here 15 years?
14, 15, enough.
15 enough years. So you've been a part of the culture and the thread that has moved PPI closer to being indispensable to our advisors. So, when you look at your professional and personal, you have a lot going on. I mean, you also help your son with his business in carpentry and woodworking. How do you manage your personal and professional life?
first of all, I have a lot of energy, so that
Yes,
helps.
you do.
And second of all, I found that hybrid working actually has helped my work-life balance. So I am at my desk. When I'm working from home, I'm at my desk around 6 a.m. I love those 2 hours of quiet time, catching up, getting organized, no emails coming in. I find that's my most creative and productive time. And then I take a little break around 8 or so, get my breakfast, get ready for the day, and move on with what's to come.
Right.
And then toward the end of the day, around 5 o'clock, we take our dog for a walk. I like being outside, walking, thinking about the day, moving on. And I try very hard never to work at night. So that has been a good work-life balance for me. The other thing that I would say that I do is I play golf, as you know.
Yes.
And golf, you're out there on the golf course for 4.5 hours with 3 other people who you really get to know. You're very focused on what it is, to the exclusion of everything else in life. So all of the world's problems melt away, and I can really focus on that, and that helps me with my personal balance.
Yeah. And you know what? I do think you actually have the best dog name ever, Pringle. I just think that's a fantastic dog name.
Pringle like the chips.
Just like the chips, especially for a golden retriever. So what's the biggest obstacle you've overcome so far in your career?
So in my career, after about 12 years of working, I had my first son, and he was very colicky, and I really did not want to come back to work. And so at the time, I worked for Aetna, insurance company, and I asked them, would you be willing to let me work on a consulting basis for a while to organize your advisor conferences? And at that time, they said yes, and it was extremely progressive of them to do so. We were still communicating with some of our locations by telex.
Oh my goodness.
There wasn't email, and there were certainly no Zoom meetings, and I was able to do that, and I think that was a really great gift for me. And then after 12 years, when I came back, after being with my 2 sons, I was willing to accept, and I was okay with it if my career had stalled because of that time. It was very important to me to do that. But lo and behold, I've had probably 5 really great leaders, both men and women, over the last period of time who have believed in me, challenged me, really made me know that I could do a lot more than I thought I could.
Yeah.
And that made a difference to me coming back.
Yeah.
So I've really been able to have the best of both worlds, and I'm very gratified by that.
You know what? And certainly our founders of PPI were huge supporters of yours and helping you move into the career direction that you have. And it's amazing to think back a number of years, although women are still challenged with taking time out of the workforce and coming back in, you were a trailblazer on that side of women coming back into work and then demonstrating you can build a great career to become the chief operating officer of PPI. So
Thank you.
pretty big deal. If you look at role models that you've had, and I know you've had a lot, but who's the one role model that stands out most for you?
I had to think a lot about this, and probably the most important role model and mentor in my life is my sister Brenda. She is next in age to me. So we grew up playing a lot of games and sports together and spending a lot of time together, both when we were young and as we got older. And she taught me a lot of things in my life. And because of all the sports and games, one was how to compete with energy, how to win with some grace. In addition, to let your clubs do the talking, which is a golf term, which is really important.
Yeah.
But probably most important, how to lose sometimes, because that is also what happens in life and in sports. And to still enjoy playing the game despite that, and to again lose with some grace. And so that's been a really important thing. And I would say that when I'm feeling a little wobbly with my confidence, she's always there to give me a bit of a boost. So, a really important person in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see it come through, and I just love that. for most people, they may not be aware, but you were instrumental in me joining PPI. Mm-hmm. And I remember through some of our conversations, because it was about 11 months of different conversations, and we met at that restaurant during COVID, and we got rained on and all those fun things. But I remember at some point you made that comment, let your clubs do the talking, and it always stuck with me because I'm not a golfer. So that's great, really great. Think about young women that you see, and it could be any young person, quite frankly. What advice do you have for young people starting their career?
Well, I would say that we should all choose something that we love to do, because chances are we'll do it pretty well and we'll be successful in it, however we measure success.
Yeah.
So as long as we're passionate about it, then I would say that is the key thing, as opposed to choosing a career and just sticking with it. If you end up doing something that you love, it will show.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of neat that you wanted to be a journalist or a writer, an author. And in fact, those skills have been leading you throughout your entire career. And of course, the team that you mentor now. It's funny, you mentioned conference planning, and, that's been under your purview at PPI all these years. And when I think about the advisor events that we do and what you've instilled in your team, I would say we're second to none when it comes to providing advisors with great experiences. So it shows through. So you're right. We will all figure out what we want to do at some point. Mm-hmm. So what do you want to be remembered by? Okay,
that's a bit of a toughie. So in life, obviously, for me, family comes first, and that would be the most important legacy that I'd like to live in terms of my family members. But when it comes to career, I was thinking about this, and I would say that 4 of the founders of PPI, so Jim Burton, John McKay, Joe Dickstein, Jim Virtue, when they retired, we asked their friends and colleagues to send us comments about them. And it's interesting when I read all of those that the comments were not so much about what the achievements of those 4 were, but it was more about the difference that each of them made in the lives of the people who were writing. So, and it wasn't always just about their career. It could have been about their personal life or whatever. And that really had an impact on me.
Yeah.
So I think that from a career standpoint, if I could just do a little of that, then I would consider it a success.
Well, you certainly have had an impact on a lot of people at PPI, and you've had a huge impact on your family. And I know I've been very fortunate over the first 4 years at PPI to be able to work alongside you on the senior leadership team and see what you do for everybody that reports into you and everybody else in the organization. And we're very grateful and very appreciative and very lucky that you're with PPI in the role that you are.
Well, I appreciate that. And same goes. Thank you.
Thank you.